fatal heart impacts, past painful scars. In fact, I blast tasteful bars and pass. I back up my actions, fact don't ask, grab reactions, jacked attack with every word, then act with class as they hear me snap. I got nothing to lose, cause I fought and felt the bruise. Now I'm not the one confused, call the shots and they produce. I ain't lost, I'm finally loose, pick a new silver excuse. I need the views to boost me to a new abuse of being used. Everybody wants a piece now, y'all can rest in peace now. You're dead to me, so peace out. Remember, you're discreet now. Get ready for defeat now.
Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kirusho here. And now, whenever we last left off, we had Izuku Midoriya and everybody else. They were preparing to commence the Super Saiyan God ritual. However, they will not be performing the ritual on Midoriya. Now, I can already feel like someone is going to be typing angrily in the comments. The reason for this is because Midoriya only has one arm, and this ritual makes you a god. So, if they are going to give the power to somebody, Midoriya is not the best candidate for this process. So, they decide that it should either be Bakugo or Kirishima. Now, with that out of the way, we do have a bit of debating going on. Kirishima debating that he should get the power, because he's a bit more serious than Bakugo. And Bakugo actually somewhat arguing that if anyone's going to get the power, it should be him. He'll take this guy out in less than 3 seconds. Watch. Bakugo, I know how you get when you fight. You go a bit overboard and you just piss them off more. Plus, there's the fact that you get distracted. Distracted? Come on. I don't get distracted. Bakugo, yes you do. You always leave an opening. Besides, what happens if you fail or you die? I don't think we have enough Saiyans left to complete the ritual after that. Actually, unless... Would we be able to take this thing a step further if we add Kendo and, well, the fusion chicken here? I don't know. Well, either way, both of you guys just make up your mind. The guy's already back at full power, or full strength, I think. Alright. Now, these two would play rock, paper, scissors, ironically. And Bakugo would win. Now, with that being said, the ritual does commence, and Bakugo, he is turned into a Super Saiyan God. Now, this is all quite fascinating, and Vados has actually informed Bakugo that this power-up is quite astonishing. In fact, if she had to put it in terms, he is far, well, vastly above where she predicted he would be. In fact, they would most likely give Beerus a good fight, or at least satisfy his curiosity. Bakugo not knowing who Beerus is. However, you do have everyone who does stare at this form, and Midoriya, looking on in amazement. Bakugo's power, it looks just like base form, except he just has a red aura. Plus he does look a lot leaner, and less bulky. Okay, that's strange. Now, Midoriya actually does step forwards, and grab Bakugo by his shoulder, as he brings his hand up. Bakugo confused as the two use instant transmission. Now, Midoriya, he quickly drops him off in front of the Emperor, as they actually do have a key barrier up. Midoriya asking Bakugo if he really thinks that this is going to work. Leave this to me. I'll have my phone with this guy. Then I'll kill him. Huh. Alright, Bakugo. While you're doing that, do you still have the Patara? Hmm? Oh, him reaching into his pocket and handing them over to Midoriya, saying, looks like they won't be needing these things. Either way, I'll see you in a minute. Bakugo quickly moving, as the Emperor was very confused. Bakugo appearing right in front of him as he actually just blasts his hand directly down into his guts. Morse being caught off guard by the amount of force behind that punch, as he gets sent flying backwards, and goes barreling into a nearby moon. Bakugo actually taking a deep breath before letting a breath out, surprised that he can actually breathe in space. This is strange. Hey Midoriya, can you hear me? Midoriya, looking at Bakugo, confused. He cannot read lips. Anyways, now. Midoriya then uses instant transmission and heads back, as everyone begins to watch this fight. Now, let us cut back up into space. Morse is pissed off. Now, he actually does see Bakugo, a new combatant. No, this is an old one, if he's right. So, a little bit of a power-up and he thinks he can win. Morse releasing his ki, as he goes flying forwards, directly charging in a punch at Bakugo, who actually does catch it. Now, everyone can feel Morse's power, and he's crazy. Morse is stronger than everyone thought. If they had to put it into terms, he was playing with Midoriya whenever he was going all out, just because he wanted to have fun. Morse is nothing more than the devil himself. Now, back up in space, you have Bakugo and Morse, who are beginning their own fight. As Bakugo and Morse are going back and forth, Bakugo throwing out a fury of punches along with actually trying to send out a ki blast. Morse actually is being able to block before swinging around and smashing Bakugo across the face with his tail. Now, as it does happen, Bakugo gets sent flying away, before being able to bring his hands up behind him and blast out forwards. Coming forwards as he just begins to let out a fury of ki blast. Now, as that does happen, these two will be having an intense battle that shakes the very solar system that they are in. And it does inevitably destroy a few planets in the process. Now, while they are having that solar system shaking battle, we do have back the lookout with Mona. She actually does arrive, and it is very surprising for everybody to see her, as she quickly runs over to Midoriya and asks exactly what is going on. She felt an intense power boost. It's Bakugo. Bakugo? What's he doing? He's fighting against Morse. What? That's gotta be suicide. Nope. He's there right now. But where is he? You know how I said I was looking for a Super Saiyan God? Or a god? I found it. We performed a ritual. In fact, I think it's the same thing your ancestor did. What? But that shouldn't be possible. I don't know. But either way, this might be our only hope. Now, we do cut over to Bakugo, who is currently flying across a planet, as him and Morse actually do collide fist to fist. As soon as they do, there is a momentary second of calm, before, within a 1.5 mile radius, the shockwave blows apart everything underneath them, you might as well have set off a nuclear warhead. Now, Morse actually just throw up his hand and try and let out a point-blank ki blast directly at Bakugo's face. Bakugo actually throwing his legs upwards and hitting Morse directly in his chin, before throwing out his hands in front of him and yelling cataclysmic explosion, as the amount of force he sends off sends him flying backwards, as Morse gets sent flying into the distance himself. The blast rocketeering off and blowing up a gas giant in the distance. Now, this is all quite impressive, and Vados does actually congratulate Bakugo on his ascension. Now, with that being said, Bakugo goes to rush in and attack. Meanwhile, Morse, he does actually shake off that ability, as he does bring his hands up and go to use his own move. Now, Bakugo actually does watch as Morse's ki begins to morph and distort, turning into people. Now, this is quite surprising, and Bakugo is confused, as waves upon waves of people begin to descend on him and try to attack him. Now, Bakugo actually does go to gain some distance, getting far away as he does actually begin to fire off ki blast at everyone. Now, Morse simply just tells Bakugo that this is his specialized move. Bakugo being confused, as he actually does have something grab onto his back and immediately explode. And this is quite weird, as more of this just begins to happen. Anytime Bakugo does try and throw a blast, something either grabs him or catches onto him. He's being completely surrounded by this attack. And Morse is having fun, as he actually does bring up his hand and create a giant ball. As soon as he does do that, he uses his other hand and throws more power into it, as he throws it down at Bakugo, who brings his left hand up and brings his right hand out and puts it on his elbow, spinning his wrist downwards as he actually does let off a ki blast. As soon as he does that, he just begins to power more ki into it, and the ball itself does begin to grow. Bakugo cocking his hand backwards and throwing it out forwards, punching away at this blast. Now, the blast does eventually blow up, and him and Morse are sent flying away from each other. Bakugo getting back up on his feet quickly and flying back in, along with Morse doing the same. Now, everyone is surprised. They're evenly matched. How is this possible? I do not understand it myself. But Midoriya, yes, Vados? I believe that you should hop in there. What are you talking about? I mean, use Ultra Instinct. If you do not, I don't believe this battle will go well for Bakugo. But what are you talking about? I can't use that. Not how I am now. Midoriya, you do not fully comprehend Ultra Instinct. What? Yes, I've been trying to instill this knowledge in you as far back as I can remember. Ultra Instinct is the power to dodge any attack and send any attack, all without giving a single thought to it. All you need to rely on is your power. And be aware, with this ability, you will be unstoppable. And your body might give out on you, but I know you. In fact, I believe that you will master that ability and become the greatest, may I even say strongest person in the multiverse. Multiverse? Now, Midoriya actually does think about this and find it to be quite intriguing, as he does bring his left hand up, putting it to his head, disappearing, arriving on the planet, as two gods are going blow for blow with power. Now, as this is happening, Midoriya actually does power up, and he actually does begin to fall into Ultra Instinct. Hearing the rhythm of his heart and the colliding of their fist, that burning power within him, it activates, and as soon as it does, everyone does take notice to this. Now, Vados does actually smile, as Midoriya falls into Mastered Ultra Instinct, and he immediately rushes in. Now, he does actually blitz the Emperor, as Bakugo barely is able to register him in his vision. Midoriya bringing his leg up and kicking the Emperor in the side of the head, before, with his one arm, sending out a fury of blast and attacks directly into his back. Now, with that being said, the Emperor is damaged, and is actually sent flying forwards before Bakugo actually does sock him directly in the chest. Now, the Emperor actually does throw himself forwards and begin to cough, before getting angry, powering up more as he begins to send ki blasts out in every single direction from his body. Now, with that being said, Mona actually does teleport onto the planet. Now, nobody does take notice to her, because of the intense battle going on, and she is aware of that. Her beginning to cast a spell. Now, the spell will take some time before it does fully work. However, we will cut back to the battle. Midoriya flying in as he does actually smash the Emperor across the face, and Bakugo does actually hit him directly in the chest. Now, the Emperor actually does begin doing one thing, splitting himself into two forms as he actually does go back to back, going to fight at Midoriya and Bakugo. Now, we do actually have Wakashi, Hope, and Etza, all of them quite surprised. They've never seen their father use a power like this. They've heard about it, yeah, but using it like this? It's intense. Now, Vados does actually talk to them, explaining that it is because of this power that she found their father. If she does have to give him an estimate, he is going to be the strongest mortal in existence one day. Especially if he does become the actual god of destruction, like she would wish. Now, back over to the battle. Midoriya is fighting against the Emperor, and he's currently blocking and dodging every blow he can, as he does use his feet to attack. Him sending a fury of kicks directly to the side of the Emperor before he does use his other one, using his right leg and kicking him directly upwards in the head, before with his hand being able to grab him by, well, I wouldn't say his hair. I don't know what you would call those. Basically, he grabs him by what would be his hair and just immediately flings him over his head, and throws him down towards the planet, before suddenly just bringing up his hand, and a very large ball of power begins to form in it, before Midoriya actually does give an attack a name, calling it Final Devastation, as he sends off the blast. Now, the Emperor actually does look up at this, seeing this attack. Him actually bring up his hands and catching the blast, as he does actually try pushing back against it. Meanwhile, Midoriya, he immediately comes flying in, smashing directly into the Emperor's back, and throwing him forwards into the blast, as his power, well, it begins to overwhelm the Emperor. Now, let us cut back over to Bakugo, who is still fighting. He is going as intensely as he can, him and the Emperor throwing blow for blow back and forth. Now, the Emperor's power does not seem to have weakened. In fact, it's more the fact that he's just trying to keep them both occupied. Now, these two just keep going, until Bakugo, after being hit across the face and being sent flying away, does actually drop back down to his base form, before going to power up, inadvertently going Super Saiyan 2. Now, he does actually rush back in for the battle, not even realizing his drop in power. Now, this does actually surprise everybody, and we do have Midoriya, who is still dodging away at the Emperor as he is actually attacking, throwing out another left hook, before throwing out a right kick. Now, after Midoriya does do this, he actually does throw the Emperor up back into the air, and with a large ki blast, he sends him flying back into the other Emperor, these two both smashing into each other and colliding, as Mona does actually finish up her spell. Now, with that being said, the Emperor actually does go to throw himself to both sides, getting ready for either one of them to attack. Midoriya and Bakugo both rushing forwards, and Midoriya actually does throw out a kick, hitting the Emperor as Bakugo actually does throw out a punch. Now, these two are facing off against him, and going back and forth, as both of them actually do get away from each other and both send out their attacks. Midoriya is sending out Final Devastation, as Bakugo does send out the Explosion attack. Now, with that being said, this is whenever the Emperor actually does use a lot of his power. Now, he simply just does one thing. He immediately throws his hands up and begins to scream out as loud as he can, as this is whenever a very large amount of ki does begin to form around him. And he does one simple thing. Throwing his hand out to the left, he throws a ki blast at Midoriya, and these begin to start flying at him at intense speeds, while also doing the same thing to Bakugo, sending out a large amount of them at him, as Midoriya actually is going to start flying backwards and blast away at them. Now, Midoriya is actually able to hit 3 of them, as 3 more are flying at him. Midoriya dodging away at them as he actually does bring his hand up to attack the Emperor, and shooting a beam directly through one of his arms. Now, we do have Bakugo, who tried doing exactly what Midoriya did, sending 3 blasts flying with more ki blast, hitting them in the air as they do explode, 3 more flying past. Now, as Midoriya actually does go to charge in, he does actually dodge, Midoriya moving his leg and his head, along with actually throwing his body to the side, as he's able to dodge the 3 ki blasts that flew past him. Now, as Midoriya did do that, he actually tried to scream out for Bakugo to dodge. TFS reference. Now, Bakugo was a bit too late, him being hit in the back by 1 ki blast, and screaming out in immense pain, as it begins to dig and tear its way into his back, before another one does actually hit him in his leg and the other one actually being able to get him in the arm, or in his lower back, screaming out more as the ki blast finally do explode, and Bakugo falls into his base form, as he goes flying down towards the planet. Now, Midoriya is actually quite enraged, thinking that he just killed Bakugo, flying forwards and directly at him. Now, Midoriya does actually go straight in, and the Emperor, he actually does go to dodge Midoriya's attack. However, Midoriya lands a solid blow directly at him, before throwing his hand over his head and smashing him down towards the ground. Now, as soon as that does happen, Midoriya actually does begin to charge up what could have been, or what would be a Hellzone grenade, or a Hellzone attack. However, he just begins to keep charging it up and up in his hand, pulling his hand backwards and throwing it into a fist as he lets out a large blast. Now, Midoriya is channeling a lot of his power in that direction, as the Emperor lays there on the ground being torn apart by the blast, screaming out in pain as he does try and actually get away from it. Now, Midoriya, he used a lot of his power doing that, and he actually does feel himself begin to weaken, as he's breathing very heavily. Now, with that being said, the Emperor himself does actually get back onto his feet, and as soon as he does actually go to stand, he does actually feel a wobble in, well, his stamina. Him being very battle damaged. He wasn't expecting these monkeys to be this strong. If he absorbs them, he'll get even stronger. Then he can go for the god. Yes, that would be a good idea. Now, he actually does go to rush forwards, going to attack Bakugo. However, Midoriya immediately throws his hand outwards, being able to grab the Emperor and throw him directly over his shoulder, smashing him into the ground, as he begins to just beat on him with his arm, over and over and over again. The Emperor trying to send out a ki blast directly towards Midoriya's chest. As when he does fire it, Midoriya disappears, reappearing and kicking him directly across the battlefields. The Emperor going slamming into a few trees. As he then does actually get back up and go to power up, finding out that his power is greatly depleted, as Mona casts another spell. Now, with that being said, Midoriya himself actually is standing there, walking forwards, before he actually does begin to feel a strain on his body. And Mona, she actually does fly by, informing Midoriya if he is going to do something to do it now, as he does actually rush forwards. And as soon as he does get in front of the Emperor, he throws out his hand and lets out a very large ki blast. As soon as he does actually do that, the ki blast envelops the Emperor, and he actually does begin to get torn apart by it, his body beginning to disintegrate, as he does get sent flying away. Now, with that being said, Midoriya himself actually does have the drawbacks of Ultra Instinct kick in. This is the longest he's ever used this ability, and the fact that it's been easy on him up until now proves his progress. He's getting a lot better at mastering this power, and then there's the fact that he can maintain it for longer. Now, Midoriya does actually fall forwards, as cuts do begin to appear all over his body, and Midoriya's stamina is heavily drained, along with his ki. He's been fighting at max power for as long as he could. Now, he actually does go to get back up, as Mona informs Midoriya that the Emperor might still be alive. Now, Midoriya is aware of this. He can still feel him, bringing up his hands and using instant transmission. Mona being surprised by that. Now, we do currently have Midoriya, as we do see the Emperor, who is actually trying to get away, trying to crawl. And he's simply just clawing away at the dirt as he's trying to move, along with using his missing arm. And parts of his head is missing, along with gaps in his body. Now, Midoriya does actually appear in front of him, and the Emperor is terrified. He can't use his abilities. What is this? This has to be magic. Now, Midoriya tells him to get on his feet. They're not done yet. What are you? Me? I'm just a Saiyan. In fact, I'm the Prince of all Saiyans. Midoriya is stomping down to his head and informing him to get on his feet now. Now, the Emperor does get onto his feet, struggling to do so, as Midoriya informs him that they're going to finish this now, before their bodies give out on each other. So if he does have any power left, he recommends using it now, because this might be his only chance. Now, Midoriya then actually does force his body back into Ultra Instinct, as the Emperor tries to muster any power that he can. He can't even make his body regenerate, as Midoriya and him immediately go into a punching match. Midoriya socking him across the face, and actually hitting him in solid parts of his body, as the Emperor tries to attack Midoriya. Now, Midoriya isn't even bothering to dodge. He's only using the attack in half, as him and the Emperor just keep going blow for blow. The Emperor not even bothering to dodge either. He's too weak. And Midoriya, he actually has smashed the Emperor down into the ground, getting above him and throwing his arm backwards, hitting him over and over and over again. As he just keeps going, before Midoriya actually does get up and begin to him all over his body. And he actually does throw up his hand, informing the Emperor of one single thing. This fight was a fight that he will remember forever. However, with everyone he's killed, everyone he's taken life from, he is a monster. And he cannot let a monster like him exist. Midoriya bringing up his hand, before saying Hakai. Now, the Emperor is immediately enveloped in this power. However, he just begins to scream out in pain, trying to fight against it. However, Midoriya, he just keeps his hand on the ball of Hakai energy, as he actually does use it again, then again, as the Emperor does slowly begin to tear apart, before the Hakai energy dissipates, and the Emperor is nothing more than a distant memory. Midoriya actually somewhat smiling, before falling forwards and beginning to cough up a lot of blood, as he's breathing very heavily. Now, with that being said, the Emperor has been defeated. Bakugo Katsuki and Izuku Midoriya, they are taken back to Earth by Mona. Now, Midoriya, he then would use the Dragon Balls to summon Shenron, and actually try and see what he can do about the way the universe is currently, asking Shenron to restore it to how it was before Emperor Morse was, well, on a rampage. And Shenron instructing Midoriya that this wish will use a very large amount of power, and this will cost both wishes. Does he want to proceed with this? And Midoriya actually stating yes. Now, all over the universe, galaxies begin to be restored, and people who have long since died, they find that they're back. Now, we also do have South Galaxy, which is restored. And we do have Midoriya. Now, he does actually wish for the universe to be restored back to the way it was before Morse basically wreaked havoc. Now, the specifics of this wish cover everything Midoriya wants to cover. Reviving South Galaxy, bringing back his arm, unfusing Momo and Mina, and doing a lot more. Now, Midoriya did have to sacrifice both wishes, but he was able to get it mostly done. Shenron basically informing him about this, that he is currently at least halfway done. He fulfilled half of Midoriya's wish. Now, he was able to restore most of the galaxies, and he did bring back Midoriya's arm. However, most of his power did go to actually unfusing Momo and Mina, being quite surprised that this was actually possible. Now, with that being said, in the months to come, Midoriya and everyone will be gathering the Dragon Balls on Namek to eventually revive the rest of the universe and help to make things better. But what is going on now? That the Empire has been dismantled. Now, I do want to say that there would be a grab for power. However, independent space, they would most likely, have the Saiyans, who I want to say would be one of the strongest species out there, who do actually try to make this claim first. And the only reason why they do make it is because they do want to create and pull the Empire into independent space, meaning that it will be under no one's control. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed, and have an amazing night. I will catch you guys in the next part.